From the NewsChannel 5 network, this is Sportsline.
Hey there, Sportsline on your television. Steve Layman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Tuesday night on NewsChannel 5. Plus, we have kind of a big day of sports news for you tonight. We'll cover it all. We will welcome your phone calls as well. 737-7767, the number. Some breaking news just within the last hour or so from the world of the NFL. Pro Bowl selections are out. 3 Titans selected. Maybe not the guys you might expect, though. Brett Kern was a no-brainer. He leads the NFL in punting and net punting, so he's in. The other 2 selections, Taylor Lewan, who goes for the 2nd straight year at left tackle, and Jarrell Casey, who goes for the 3rd straight season up front on the defensive line. What that means is no Kevin Byard, 2nd-year safety who's been phenomenal this year, tied for 2nd in the NFL with 6 interceptions. He's part of 7 alternates that the Titans have. Jack Conklin, Marcus Mariota, Delaney Walker among that group. You've got Byard, Orakpo on the defensive side of the ball, Brendan Trawick in special teams as well. And that also means no Wesley Woodyard, who isn't even an alternate, despite being tied for 10th in the NFL with 116 tackles on the season. He's got 5 sacks, yet not selected. That one's a bit puzzling to me. Byard's a bit puzzling to me. But, of course, some of that is how much are you winning? Titans have not won enough here lately. And then what are the overall stats? And I think in Byard's case in particular, you're talking about a 2nd-year guy who didn't even play all the time last year as a rookie, exploding onto the scene. I think it's a little bit of name recognition, where in the future, I think he gets the benefit of the doubt. Right now, maybe not, because he's such a young guy and he hadn't done it before. So that's what's happening right now. The Titans obviously needing a win this weekend or next weekend, maybe both weekends, against the Rams and the Jaguars to get themselves in to the playoffs for the first time since 2008. It is a big task in front of them. We can discuss that, what's going on with this Titans team after a disappointing road trip out west, and your confidence level with the team now that they're back home facing these back-to-back games to close the year against 10-win teams. We had sort of a spirited discussion about that last night. We can continue that here tonight as well. Phone lines again are open at 737-7767. The Predators on the ice tonight against the Jets. This is a critical time for them. It is 1-1 at the end of the first period. They're in the intermission right now. A 1-1 game early on. Adam Lowry scored early on for Winnipeg. Punched one through the wickets of Pecorine in net tonight, which stopped, by the way, a streak of 163 minutes and change. The Predators goaltenders did not allow a goal. Then later in the period, you get Calle Jarnkrok scoring on an unassisted goal, and then a flurry right there in the final minute. Final 20 seconds, actually, of the period. Kevin Fiala scores, assisted by Craig Smith and Kyle Turris. That line continues to be incredible. So the Preds get 2 goals in a span of 21 seconds in the final minute of the first period. They lead it 2-1 over the Jets here at the first intermission tonight. They've got 34 points in their last 20 games. 16-2-2 in that stretch. That is incredible hockey. Yet, the Central Division is so competitive, and everybody else continues to win as well, that the Preds haven't really gotten much separation. They started that stretch 3rd or 4th in the division. Now they're 1st in the Western Conference, which is great. But they're tied in the points column with the Blues, and the Jets sit just 3 points back in 3rd place going into tonight. If the Preds are going to get some separation, it's going to come in the next couple of weeks here. 5 of their next 6 games, beginning tonight with the Jets, are against teams in the Western Conference. So here is their opportunity to really make a run and try to get a little separation here before the new year. And then the other big story of the day, locally in sports. An announcement scheduled for tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock here Nashville time, with MLS Commissioner Don Garber, the mayor of Nashville, Megan Barry, and the head of the Nashville Soccer Organizing Committee and ownership group, John Ingram. You'd only scheduled that press conference for one reason, right? And that is to announce that Nashville is going to win a bid for an expansion MLS franchise. And so tomorrow afternoon, by this time tomorrow, we will know indeed that that is official and a fact that Nashville will be awarded the 25th franchise in MLS history, set to play likely in 2020 at the new $250 million stadium that the city is set to build down by the fairgrounds. Although there is some discussion out there because the Miami team that they've already awarded an expansion team to is struggling to put things together right now, and so they're not exactly on schedule. The league's going to want to hurry up and get back to an even number because Los Angeles has a team that's set to come in next year. Miami isn't ready. At some point, they're going to want to catch that back up and get to an even number. And if Miami's not able to do that immediately, perhaps they go to Nashville then. Perhaps they say, hey, Nashville, can you fill the void and step up earlier than that? And we'll see. And maybe they play a year at Nissan Stadium. Maybe they play a year at First Tennessee Park. Other options probably out there as well. But perhaps they come in earlier than that before the stadium is actually done. Those types of details will obviously work themselves out. But the big news is by this time tomorrow, we should know that Nashville, in fact, will be getting a franchise in Major League Soccer, which will make this city a 3-sports town. And there is a unbelievable amount of directions you can go with that. It speaks to the success of the Titans, the Predators. It speaks to the success of the city, the growth of the city right now, and the belief that more growth is possible when it comes to all this stuff. So there's a lot going on with that. And credit to John Ingram and the city for getting this done, because for everyone you talk to about the Nashville bid, when this first came out a couple years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, when this process started, and there were 12 sort of semi-finalists for these two teams, Nashville was considered a long shot, maybe the longest of long shots, 10th, 11th, 12th in the pecking order when you looked at it. And as the process went along, all of the favorites, all of the other cities involved here met some sort of a hurdle or a stumbling block, whether it was with their ownership group or with the city and trying to get financing for a stadium and coming to an agreement in the logistics of the whole process. They kept meeting hurdles along the path. Here in Nashville, John Ingram and this ownership group were steadfast in their belief that they could get this done. They were locked up in their process. And when it came to the city, the forward thinkers here that have helped attract the Titans, help attract a team like the Predators and build things like that. And, oh, by the way, the Music City Center and several other initiatives that have really made Nashville sort of the it city in the country right now. They saw this as another opportunity. And so, yes, it's a $250 million stadium, but they were creative in the ways that they were going to get it done. And they made sure to get it done. And they got it done in a timely manner. And so all of a sudden, Nashville shot to the top of the list. And tomorrow they're going to get an MLS franchise. And oh, by the way, the other three finalists, it doesn't appear there's a decision on them. The MLS wants to award 2 franchises here in this round of expansion. Nashville's going to get 1. The other 3 finalists are Sacramento, Cincinnati, and Detroit. And all 3 of them have certain advantages. I mean, Detroit's a top 12 to 15 market in the country, so it's a huge media market that you could tap into there. Cincinnati has had incredible success at the minor league soccer level. And Sacramento has a stadium proposal done, and they've also had success at the minor league level. Those cities seem to have everything in order, yet here in the finalist stage, there is some hurdle holding each of them up. So when they make this announcement tomorrow about Nashville, there isn't a second announcement, at least in the immediate future here. Something is wrong with all of their bids or all of their finalizing processes here. So once again, congratulations to John Ingram and his group with the owners and the city of Nashville for being able to come together and have all their ducks in a row in the span of, 12 months, 16 months, something like that, to have this opportunity. And tomorrow, Nashville takes that next step. one of the many steps we've taken in the last couple decades or so from a city that was just, kind of a quaint, cute town that was associated with country music to now obviously the music capital of the world. Still, that keeps growing and growing, but you have such an entertainment industry. You have so many other things that have come to this town, and it started in a lot of ways with sports. It started with the Predators. It started with Bridgestone Arena. It started with the Titans coming from Houston and bringing the NFL to Nashville, and now you're going to be a three-sports city as of tomorrow. And that is a huge step once again for this town that continues to grow and grow and grow and grow in the right direction, I think, in a lot of people's minds. So a lot of things to talk about tonight. We would love to hear from you. 737-7767 is our number. Join us up here on the program tonight, and let's get you involved here. And let's go to the phones here and say hello to Kevin. Kevin, good evening. You're first up here tonight on Sportsline.
Hey, first of all, happy holidays, Steve, to you and all the Channel 5 sports people.
Thank you, Kevin.
Happy holidays.
You too.
I have a question, Steve. I'm very happy about the Titans' defense this year, but I am not very happy about the performance of the offense. I understand that it's been said among a few players that they like the offense set better when it's in a no-huddle situation, and Mariota calling the shots. Is this year's offensive performance, could it be a reflection of the kind of job that Robisky's doing as an offensive coordinator? And is it time for a change at OC?
I think a lot of people believe that, Kevin. A lot of people are upset with his offensive play calling and think that there should be serious consideration to making a move at the end of the year. I think, one, let's see what happens in the final 2 weeks. If they win them both and get into the playoffs and do something there, that may change our entire belief in terms of what should happen on the offensive side of the ball. But given the body of work now, something is off. And there's no question about that. I do believe that you can criticize some of the play calling and the lack of imagination. But then there's other times, Kevin, where I look at it and I point to the execution. And case in point, first play of the game on Sunday is a shot play. It's a play action pass trying to take a shot down the field. That's creative. That's not a vanilla style that you're running right there. But what happens is it's not executed right. Mariota gets sacked. Then all of a sudden you're behind the chains. You end up going 3 and out on that, and you punt it right away, and people are like, ugh, there goes the Titans' boring offense again, 3 and out to start the game. Well, if you complete that, and it's a 30-yard play on the first play of the game, you look a whole lot different offensively. And we've seen other instances of that as well throughout the year. Remember back to the Cincinnati game, I think it was here in November. It's a great little gadget play they have where you have a Dory Jackson out as a decoy. It's a fake screen pass to him. You take a shot down the field to Rashard Matthews. He's wide open. It's a touchdown, but he drops the ball. We've had several of those instances this year where the execution has not allowed play calls that were there and that were made and schemed up correctly to beat the defense to work. Now, that's not Terry Robisky's fault. That's the player's fault in the execution. And I'm not trying to absolve Terry Robisky completely, because I think you can certainly criticize at times. I thought the Arizona game in particular was a very poorly called game. I thought at times they got too conservative. I thought they didn't take the shackles off of Marcus Mariota. They probably need to go hurry up at points in that game, and they just never did. And the result was 7 points. There's definitely enough criticism to go around there, but it comes back to the execution as well. The running game hasn't been as good this year as a year ago. The passing game hasn't played off of that very well. And when they've taken their shots, last year they were highly successful on those plays. This year, not at all. That's a huge difference between what this team looked like a year ago offensively and what this team looks like now. And yeah, some of it's on Terry Robisky, but not all of it.
I think, Steve, what this team is missing is a shot from DeMarco Murray.
Yeah. Well, in the running game in particular, I don't care if it's Murray or Derrick Henry, but this offensive line and this running game hasn't been nearly as productive as a year ago when Murray was the leading rusher in the AFC. And this was the third leading rushing offense in all of football. They haven't been able to match that, and so that's hurt the rest of the offense as a whole. And to add into those guys too, Kevin, think about it this way. We were talking downstairs earlier today. On the entire team, offense and defense, what players would you say, I'd like you to answer this and I'll give you my opinion. What players would you say on this Titans team this year are having better seasons right now than they had a year ago?
I would say Derrick Henry. That would be my only choice that I could say.
Yeah, and I mean, statistically, it's not. It's right there, including defense. The only two guys that I really definitively came up with were Kevin Byard and Wesley Woodyard, who, by the way, I said off the beginning of the show, I think both of them should have been in the Pro Bowl as immediate selections. Byard's an alternate. Woodyard didn't even get that, so I think that's criminal. But those are the only two guys on the entire team, offense and defense, that I can definitively say have played better in this 2017 season than they played last year. And maybe that's some of the scheme and all of that. It's certainly the reason they're 8-6 and they've lost a couple games here in a row and are struggling to get into the playoffs when we all thought they'd get there. But I don't know if you can blame that all on coaching. At some point, it's just guys haven't stepped up. They all stepped up a year ago when this team made that magical leap, and this year they just haven't been able to match that. Kevin, we appreciate the call. Good stuff tonight, as always. Phone lines are still open. 737-7767 is the number. Call us up. Get in on the program tonight. We'll continue all of these discussions, break down some of that game from Sunday in San Francisco as well, and much more straight ahead. So stay with us. You're watching Sportsline on News Channel 5+.